What's up, guys? So, is extroverted feeling objective? How? How can feeling be objective? Because doesn't objective mean true? Isn't that what objective means? No, objective doesn't mean true. Actually, it doesn't. And you know what? I did not just say that FE is objective. I didn't just come up with that, just pull that out of my ass. I have a book to prove it that's written by an author, okay? An actual printed book that, you know, somehow made it to publish that said that extroverted feeling is objective. So, is objective better than being subjective? No, not at all. We all literally need both objective and subjective worldviews in order to make any sort of decisions. Because you need to look at the objects around you and you need to look at the subject, you, that it's gonna affect. And you need both. And, you know, introversion is inherently subjective and extroversion is inherently objective. But we all, you know, interact with both parts of that to, you know, make decisions. A lot of you guys watching this, you might think this is practically kindergarten when it comes to personality type stuff, but it surprises me time and time again. Even people that say that they know what the functions are, they say that they understand what extroverted feeling is, they say that they get it's objective, they still just act as if they don't know that FE is objective. It's not. So, God damn it. Whenever I said it's not, I wasn't saying that FE is not objective. I was thinking of a thought that you guys might be having, and I said it's not. Anyway, I know that was confusing, but anyway, I wanted to talk about this today and I also wanted to share just some of my opinions about extroverted feeling and objectivity and stuff like that about psychology. Because as an extroverted feeling dominant, you guys are just probably going to think whatever I'm saying about FE is going to be pretty biased. And you're right, like, I'm not trying to make it seem like FE is the best function ever, but I do use it a lot, and it is, you know, the function that I use all the time. So I know quite a bit about it, and I know that it's objective, and I know that it's just as objective as TE. And a lot of times when we use the word objective in like a colloquial sense, we don't think of FE, we think about science, we think about facts. Whenever we use the word, are you being objective? Like when it comes to, like, if you're a journalist, are you being objective? Pretty much you're saying, are you using TE in your writing? But FE is just as objective, and I have some thoughts on why people don't view it as objective. 1, 70% of feelers test as women. Jung himself said that the extroverted feeling types were often women. And here, if you want to know what I'm about to get into, I'm about to get into some subjective TI opinions about this, is that the patriarchy exists. See, that's my TI being subjective. That's not my FE being anyway. The patriarchy, you know, women's rights movements, feminism, sexism. I don't see. People don't trust women. People don't trust whenever, like, someone's crying over here and said, like, it's objective that if your boyfriend cheats on you, then you're gonna be upset. People don't trust that in society yet, so how could we trust them to understand that extroverted feeling actually is objective? It works. It works all the time. The same way that TE, when you're using it in a highly efficient way, in a highly developed way, a highly developed TJ who is trying to get shit done and be effective will do it. They will make it work. And a highly developed extroverted feeler will time and time again smooth things over and create harmony. I mean, maybe not global world harmony, but when FE is used right, it works. It creates the result that they were looking for. Extroverted judging is a way of assessing the objects around you and making sense of it and taking an action in the external world based on objective observations. So I'm going to just kind of give you guys some examples of some examples of FE being objective. So just so you know, though, that FE and TE, they both sort of jump to conclusions. No individual is completely objective, but functions are completely objective. But the funny thing about functions is that you can't use FE without TI, so therefore FE, the objectivity, if it was there, since it's seen through a TI lens, that's tainted. And so TE, objectivity, if it's there, it's still tainted through the FI. And you gotta realize that. TE is not more objective. It's not more rational either. It's more logical, but it's not. Whenever I think of TE, I think of like, I don't know. When you put this number in to the algebra equation, it's always gonna get this. 2 plus 2 always equals 4. Whenever you add an input to the objective world, it will always give you that. So, yeah. But extroverted feeling notices the feelings of people and the emotional environment and then makes decisions based on that. And a lot of you guys, I think, know this, but you act like you don't. And so that's why it's hard for me to honestly explain this, because a lot of the comments I get, honestly, is from people that I don't think realize how FE works, and it's almost like they're expecting me as an FE user to use TE and explain to you what FE is. I'm not going to be able to use TE and explain that to you. Even TPs still like expects amount of TE from me. Everyone pretty much expects TE from me. And everyone probably feels that way about their 8th function. But what are some examples? 2 of my cousins helped me move into my apartment, and my parents weren't around to help me move because they were on vacation, and so I knew that I had to do something to my cousins or for my cousins to express my gratitude, because I know that if it was my parents helping me move, then that was more expected based on the emotional relationship that I have with my parents. But my cousins, they didn't have to help me move. They did because they love me and because they're my family, but based on the relationship that we have to one another, we aren't really close enough for it to be okay for me to just expect them to help me. So using FE, I knew that their emotions on the matter would be, and I'm not talking the depth of their FI emotions. No FE user could ever come close to knowing that the distinction that FI can read. These are just basic, the same way that TE knows these basic facts about things without digging that deep. FE knows these basic things, is that it's a Saturday. People like to do things for themselves on Saturday because people are working a lot during the day. See, these are some FE observations. people like to do things that they like to do on Saturdays. That's objective. That's objective, but that's still feeling. That's not TE. So my cousins, I knew that they would probably have something that they would rather be doing at that time, but that they were doing it for me anyway. Where if it was my parents or like a significant other or something, it wouldn't be necessarily expected to help me, but it would be sort of like, you'd have no reason not to, and of course I'm gonna say thank you, but I'm not gonna feel the need to like buy you something or whatever. That's an example. What's another example? An example is that in a romantic relationship, if there is not trust there, then you should be doing what you can to build trust, or else there's going to be more issues moving forward in the relationship. If you don't address it now, that lack of trust is always going to be there unless you do something about it. That's an objective emotional observation. What else? I'm trying to just give you guys some examples because I honestly don't think that just saying objective emotions makes any sense. So, let's see. People on Twitter, they like to just sort of share their unfiltered thoughts, and so they like to read other unfiltered thoughts while they're there because that's kind of what they're expecting, and that's kind of the mindset that they're in. It makes sense for lots of businesses to in the Midwest and in smaller towns to close their doors on Sundays, because if they're if the people that work, or if the people that live there are not going to want to go out that day because they're going to be in church, then it is doesn't make sense for the business to be open. Let's see. I know you guys probably are just thinking like, how does this have anything to do with FE, blah, blah, blah. I can't explain it to you with the logical facts you're looking for. So I guess just think for yourself, decide for yourself if you believe me. That's really all I'm good for. Like, honestly, like, just unsubscribe if you expect me to be objective in the way that you are looking for. Like, or like, if you like want me to use TE, like just literally just unsubscribe, because the thing is that all I really can ask is for you to just decide if you agree or not. Like, cause you always can just disagree, and I literally don't understand why people don't just realize that. Like, all I can ask is for you to listen to me and consider what I'm saying, and if you agree, then great. And if you don't agree, then that's fine too. I don't know. I'm trying to think of more FE examples, and it's really hard because everything I do is FE, and you have to realize too that it's like I grew up in a household with an ESFJ and an ENFJ, or ESFJ mom and ENFJ dad and an ESFJ sister. Some things that my mom would say is like, this was supposed to be a good day, so please just get over what you're feeling and be happy because this is vacation and this was supposed to be a good day. That's true. It was supposed to be a good day. That is objective. It was supposed to be. The TI is subjective. Like, how should you handle that? What should you do? What do you think about that? That's subjective. But the actual FE, this is supposed to be a good day, that's real. It's just like the TI behind it that seems like you can either agree or disagree with. And I think really it's the TI that people disagree with. the TI root of the FE that people disagree with. Here's another FE truth. There's a reason why there's been more school shootings recently. It has to do with our culture. And there's a reason why that never happened before, or so we thought, and then now it is. I couldn't tell you why that is. That you can have your own TI opinion about that, but another FE is that the way that the American president talks about people and things influences our culture, and it makes people either think that that's okay, or it could make people not like that and be more politically correct. It's on them. You can have your own TI about what that is, but the FE is that it does, influence people. The age of social media, everyone having their phones, has created these new expectations that people have on things. Our attention span is getting shorter. These are things that I hope what you guys can see from all of these things is that, like, these aren't things that are easy to test. You can test by doing market research, but a lot of these things, you just know. You just know. I mean, at least I just know using extroverted feeling, but I also know that extroverted thinkers will say things that shock me all the time, that they seem to have gleaned about the world. Sure, you could do market research and prove any of these things with TI, but that's just like using your own TI in order to make a case for the FE, but the FE is still there. The FE is still there. The truth is that, gosh, what else can I say? Oh, a very common FE that people tend to understand is that first impressions do matter, and that what you're wearing when you first meet people can influence how they view you. Some other FE stuff that people seem to know is that I don't know, guys. You guys might just fucking hate this video. I don't know. I'm trying to just honestly just do things that are more my style, and I really don't care if you don't like it, honestly. I've just been reading. Let me read actually a little bit about objective. Let me see if I can find this part. I believe that Carl Jung is an INFJ, and oh yeah, I know what I was gonna say. It's really hard to explain FE because of, one, it's less trusted in society. Do you see how I just used FE to explain FE? Therefore, anyone that already is not with me is not going to believe me. Because I said it's less trusted in society. That's an FE thing that I just said. It is. Look at how people behave. People don't trust it. People don't trust it because it's a lot of times women that use it. And, FE doesn't really, anyone with good FE doesn't really see why we make a lot of the decisions that we've been making as a country. I mean, I'm not really going to go there. Anyone with any sort of understanding of what motivates large groups of people in a macro sense to do things. Anyway, Carl Jung and a lot of Carl Jung I believe to be an INFJ, and I think that this book is very NI and TI. He doesn't really show much FE in here unless you know what you're looking for, unless you know what FE is and you could spot it. He used FE when talking to his clients one-on-one and gathered the information for his TI to come to this conclusion. And he says that he couldn't have come up with this if it wasn't for that information gathering, which was pretty much which was objective information gathering with FE. He says that moreover, the psychological reactions of a human are so complicated that my powers of description would hardly suffice to draw an absolutely correct picture, which I completely feel that pain. He says, from sheer necessity, therefore, I must confine myself to a presentation of principles, which I have abstracted from a wealth of facts observed in many different individuals. So he says, I must confine myself to a presentation of principles. He's like, I cannot show you the TE. I must show you the TI that I have gathered from the wealth of facts observed from many different individuals. From observing humans, emotions, behaviors, and seeing how this pattern works. Seeing how trust just works this way. Vulnerability just works this way. People just are that way. That's just how it is. That's FE can observe things. And honestly, that's just how it is. I'm sorry if I can't explain it to you in the way that you want it to be explained to you. I just invite you to think about it if you feel so inclined. I'm going to start doing just some more like Jung reactions, or like my thoughts on what Jung said videos, but I also honestly, guys, ever since I've been making videos and ever since I've been into the typology community, I think that one of two things happen. Either they look down on me for my FE and they discredit what I'm saying because I'm not using TE and because my TI is not precise. Or they tell me that they don't see my FE because I am logical. When neither of those are true, and if you knew what FE is, you would see that I was using it, and you would know that it was objective. And it's annoying as hell, honestly, that it's like, I don't know how to explain or prove this to you, but because I use FE means that I am way more focused on how people work, and I'm way more focused on gathering this. And you know what? I'm going to make a bold claim here, is that Carl Jung's an INFJ. He spent his whole freaking life with this stuff. He used to think that introversion was inherently logical and that extroversion was inherently emotional, and he found out that he was wrong. So by that logic, if he literally, when he wrote this forward, he literally thought, he said, he said, I identified the thinking type with the introvert and the feeling type with the extrovert. A deeper study of this problem has shown this equation to be untenable. How did he study it? Do you think he studied it with TE? No, he studied it with FE by talking to people. And you know what? If he had that belief that he thought that TI was introverted, then that means that he thought, or if he thought thinking was introverted, that means that he thought that thinking was subjective and that feeling was objective when he wrote this forward. Isn't that interesting? I mean, clearly he was a TI and FE user who had some bias. But the bold claim I was going to make earlier is that I think that I have a more, not at this point in my life, but that I'm capable of a greater wealth of research with FE than Carl Jung. What I feel less capable of as an ENFJ is writing this convincing ass book with all of the TI that it took for him to write this, and all of the NI that he had to just, and he had to use decent NE too. He had to guess what someone might have thought or what sort of questions they would have had, and then answered them before you even knew, before you even asked. I mean, this is some intense NI and TI depths there, but where I think ENFJs have INFJs beat is the information gathering. And I have all these insights, guys. I just don't know how to prove it. I just literally don't know how to prove it. And I try so hard because I want to be, and my little baby TI cares so much about being right and about being accurate, not just because I want to be right, but because I believe in that pursuit. I believe that people ought to be as accurate as they can. But oh my goodness, I'm so stressed out by thinking types getting on me that I'm about to just be like, literally, fuck you, science. I'm literally about to get to this point where I'm just like, here are my observations. Believe me or don't believe me. Like, and you know what? I hear about what Dave Superpowers talks about how whenever someone's a guru or whatever, how that information doesn't pass down unless they make something objective to go with it. And I see that, and I'm afraid of being that, honestly. But at the same time, Carl Jung did a shitty job at passing that stuff down. We all know it because we're all trying to figure out what the hell he thought. But you know, he sure as hell inspired some TI thoughts. And you know what? If I am just a person that shares my insights and I inspire some TI thoughts, then I'm going to be okay with that too. Even if my TE continues to suck and I continue to be not convincing and make zero sense to anyone who isn't already with me, I at least feel like I can at least inspire some people, or at least plant some seeds in other people's heads that might also grow other thoughts that I could have never even thought about. You know what I mean? So anyway, if you're an FE user and you get this, you think I'm onto something, please comment below. Let me know what the hell I'm talking about. How do you think of this? How do you conceptualize this? What are some examples of some FE things? I definitely want to see you comment if you're like, I'm an FE user, I get what you're saying, I get that that's objective, and I do that too, please. So, because I know there's going to be some people that don't agree or don't understand that might need more people backing me up. So, anyway, thank you so much for watching this. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I have the information of that below. And also, I have joined my Facebook group, Personality Typology for Self-Growth. Thank you for watching. You've been a lovely guest. Just been absolutely lovely talking to you. Have a wonderful day.